Hello, as promised, I wanted to make you a video about how to put this rather unusual assignment together for assessment 2, which asks you to prepare a slide pack and speaker's notes. Now we're using Cadmus for this, so it's going to be a little bit tricky or a little bit different from what you're used to. So let's actually just talk about the assignment and talk about the logistics all at the same time. What I've got on the screen here is basically student view, so this should be what you see. It tends to default to show by date if you're in the assignment areas. I think it's probably easier to understand what you're doing if you look at show by type. So you've already done assessment 1, yay you. There's a not graded assessment, which is your opportunity to practice using Cadmus. And then assessment 2, you get to pick one of these two. Now, it should be pretty obvious. Select if you want to use Harvard referencing. That's RMIT Harvard. That's what you should do if you're a business student or if you're a law student familiar with that and you just like it better. But if you're a law student and you're familiar with AGLC4, now is not the time to go and learn a new referencing system. You won't get rewarded for that and you might get punished for not doing it properly. So I would suggest law students will start here and business students will start here. Now, if you're a mixture of the two, there are plenty of students who are in law and business at the same time. You pick the one that you think is going to suit your purposes differently. So I'm going to start with the AGLC4 one just so we can have a look at what it looks like. And basically, these are pretty much the same. So you can see, because I've done a practice run, you can see up here, here's a previous submission that I've done. We've got the overview of the assessment. All of that is as you would expect. This key information required section, once again, similar to the first assignment, just want you to include this with your assignment so that the grader has a fighting chance of knowing what it is that you are writing about. Assessment policies, useful links to RMIT, Harvard, and AGLC4. All of those also are within Cadmus, which is quite easy. And then here we've got our link to go to Cadmus. So let's actually do that. Looks like I still haven't attached the rubric to this particular version yet. Now, I've got this a bit scrunched up, but in fact, what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to go into the other one. Sorry about this. Just because I just realized the other one is set up for me to use as a demo. But as you can see, it's pretty much exactly the same. And what's useful here at the moment, because this will all be set up for you by the time you come into this, but at the moment the rubric isn't set up. It's exactly the same rubric, so it's worth having a look at that. So you go to Cadmus. Now the first time that you go in, it'll probably ask you to accept the terms and conditions. Cadmus screen is split up into 2 sections. I'm making it a bit skinny here. You've got a bit of area here, the high level stuff about what you have to do. And basically, I don't know why they default this to ticking. I'd like you to actually physically tick this box. And it basically says that by completing and submitting the assignment, you're confirming that the work is your own. There's a link here to an assessment declaration. There's also a link to the assessment declaration on the assessment page. Interestingly enough, right now, those 2 assessment declarations are slightly different from each other. I don't care which ones you think you're signing. Essentially, you're saying it's your own work. It's all properly referenced, etc. Okay, so once we go in on this instructions side of the Cadmus screen, you get to see the overview and purpose, the scenario, your instruction. And here's this lovely table that you are supposed to cut and paste in. So I would forget about the top row because it's not particularly helpful, but it doesn't really matter. I just use my right click there to copy it. I could use copy and paste. I'm going to just pop the table into the actual assessment area. Now, actually, it might tell me it hasn't actually done it at the moment, but often it will put in some kind of prompt there saying you copied that information in from somewhere else. And it's asking you, do you need to paraphrase it? Do you need to quote it? And then it has links to information in this lovely Cadmus manual here that gives you information about referencing using RMIT Harvard. In this case, if we were in the AGLC4 version, these references would be to the AGL4 version. So in fact, let me flop over there and have a look. I'd already copied and pasted this table in there. And if I go into this Cadmus book here and I look at referencing, see here we have the links to the library guide, AGLC4, bibliography, etc. The other thing that is different about the AGLC4 version is that we also have this insert footnote button. So I can put a footnote number in here and then I can type away and put my footnotes in, and ultimately they'll end up beautifully formatted. Now, for some of you who are just really hate change, you might still be using a Word document to complete this, and then you wanting to cut and paste in from your Word document. Leave enough time to sort out the footnotes, because the footnotes will not automatically transfer across. And one of the things that's great about this is that so we can basically hide this section by using that little close footnote button. And as I put in additional footnotes, so AGLC, the footnotes appear after the full stop. We can put another footnote in here. And that was footnote 2. Then I might decide that I'm going to put another footnote up here, and you will see it automatically, this is the new footnote, automatically renumbers. And if it turns out that down the track, I decide I'm going to move, where did I put footnote 2? I'm going to move all of that section. So I'm going to basically, let's see, can I drag it down? I've dragged it to a different spot. I've moved it around. As you can see, there's a little line in there because this is clearly cut and paste text. When I go and have a look at the footnotes, I'll see footnote 2 moved around. So it's all automatically numbered for you. It's going to make your life and mine so much easier. They're all properly formatted, and that's a thing of beauty, to be perfectly frank. So when it comes to using in-text references, so just say we type something here. Because I've typed that, it's not giving me any warnings or anything. And then I want to put a reference in here. There we go. Then what I would be doing if I were you, particularly now with AGLC, it doesn't matter so much because it's a footnote referencing system. So technically you're not going to be in breach, but this is a really good place to pop the information that we're going to use. So this could be Nolan C. blah, blah, blah. And basically, so we know we're putting our reference in there. Now, chances are I'm not great with Harvard referencing on the fly. I tend to use APA or AGLC myself. But if I'm worried about how I'm referencing it, I can go in here. I can have a look at the in-text reference form. Okay, actually, I probably should have used this, and then I can put the information in and go from there. So I cut and paste it there. Okay, great. Okay, so next, as we're working through, let's go back to the instructions. And on this side, you can see here is a lovely checklist of the things that we need to do. Identify a company. At the moment, this is just a checklist format. So what I'm going to suggest that you do is that you take this checklist, you highlight it, you copy it, and you take it into the notes section. Now I'm just going to replace everything. Clearly I've practiced doing this before. And effectively this gives us a checklist. So have I identified an application or big data technology in the industry that the company operates? Yes, I have. Let's say I have anyway. I can tick these things off as I go. So that's a really useful start, because as you're doing the work, effectively make sure that you're checking off everything that you need to do. Quite a lot of instructions and guidance here, so you'll see that there's some more helpful information you might like to add to these. The other thing is you've got these guiding questions. Have you answered all of these? Again, I'm going to copy that. I just used Control Copy that time, and I'm going to pop that list in. Oh, didn't work. Sorry. Let's go back again. Highlight what I wanted. Clearly, I find I do that from time to time, here we go. There's my list. So I've got my list. So I've got these working notes that I can deal with. The other thing that I might find that I'm doing is I might be getting information from articles or some other place. I'm just going to use lorem ipsum to do this, which doesn't really matter what it is. I'm just going to take some text, and when I think this is a really useful feature, that in my notes section, I can put it in there. Now, it's reminded me that I need to paraphrase or quote. If I hit the quote button, it's going to tell me how to do it. If I hit the paraphrasing button, it's not going to tell me how I'm going to do it, which is just frustrating. But again, remember, we've got this little book up here that helps us do that. So again, what I really like about this is explaining how it needs to be formatted. So let's say we've decided I'm going to use this part of the quote. So, according to Nolan, I can pop that in and I can go back and have a look at what I need to do. Block quotes do not use inverted commas. They're signaled with a colon, and the quote begins on a new line that is indented and in a smaller size. Awesome. Okay. So I basically close that off, where I head over here to the to indent. I'm going to do that. No, that's not what I want. I want it actually fully indented. I'm going to indent it twice because that's the way I roll. Highlight it, and I can basically put it into quote font. How good is that? So yeah, it's all sitting, ready to go. I've just realized that because we've got the formatting sessions up here, it's going to format this appropriately for us. The other thing that I can do is I can use this really simple formatting guide to get consistent headings all the way through. So if I go back to my instructions, the instructions rather helpfully, I think, I wrote it, they contain this guide to what the structure should look like. So once again, I'm going to copy and I'm going to just move this over here to get my structure started. So again, and I'm just doing that so I can see it more than anything else in this small way. So I'm going to use a heading. Now I might change these headings over time, but at the moment I just want to make sure that I have got all of the headings in place that I want for my structure. Okay, so now I've got my structure there all ready to go, and I can type as much as I like. Let's just see, let's generate something new. I can type whatever it is that I want. It's not even really generating, right? I can put my text in here. And again, each time I do a copy and paste, it's going to say, you paraphrase, do you need to deal with something here? Is paraphrasing or quoting relevant? Now, if you're doing this from your own work, don't be worried about that. One of the things that I would do if I were you, though, is I would just do your own work. If you really just do not want to deal with change and you refuse to use this, sure, do it in Word. Do it in one document. Keep the document and then close it. And do not open it again once you've actually submitted. Ideally, you might even upload it as part of your submission. Because if you're copying and pasting things in, it is going to trigger something at our end that is going to make me look at the back end of your assignment and see whether or not any of the other triggers are there that would suggest that there's contract cheating involved. Now, I don't want to do that. I don't think you want to cheat either. So, but unfortunately it's happening a lot, and there's also a lot of people using AI inappropriately for ghostwriting. Now, I get it. One of the frequently asked questions deals with the use of AI in particular, but we look at a whole range of different factors, and just the fact that you've pasted in the document doesn't necessarily mean that it's not your own work. Now, I can totally get that, and absolutely you're okay to do it. But again, for the abundance of caution, because it will raise a trigger, I would strongly suggest that you save your work, and I'll even show you when we get to the stage of uploading something, how you could share that Word draft document with me in a way that will help me be satisfied if I need to look at the metadata that the work was in fact yours. And the irony that I am using work that is not my own by cutting and pasting things in to show you here is not lost on me. Okay, so basically once you've written speaker's notes, now these are speaker's notes, right? So they don't need to be full paragraphs. They can be a range of different dot points if that's the way you think will work best. Remember, you are not the one that is giving this speech. You're giving, and it's not really a speech, you're not scripting a speech as much as you are providing your boss with all of the background materials they need so that they can explain to a group of employees what their compliance and risk obligations are in relation to a chosen AI big data technology and the question of either the receipt of payments in cryptocurrency, the making of payments in cryptocurrency, or both. So you don't have to write a script or an issues paper as such. What you are doing is you're providing a useful document for your boss to give a speech to. So in the past, we've done that by preparing a slide pack. Here is one. I'm just using PowerPoint here. Here is one that I got AI to prepare earlier. It's done a really crap job, to be perfectly frank, but I'm really just doing this to show you that I know what Copilot can do. I can see what the generative AI can do. Frankly, I think this would be a really poor way to get started. But at the end of the day, what we're looking for is a series of slides that will explain all of the key elements. So you can see the instruction I gave was create a presentation about managing legal risk for accepting or receiving cryptocurrency payments in Australia for a medical practice. Look, and quite frankly, it's done a really ordinary job. I encourage you to explore what it can and it can't do at this stage. But if you are going to use anything that it does, you need to make sure that you cite it appropriately and that you check the material as it comes. So let's say that you have pulled together all of your structure, and I would strongly recommend that you write the speaker's notes first, and that the speaker's notes, because that will mean that the images, the slides that you create will reflect the speaker's notes that you've prepared. So then let's pretend that I actually went and prepared slides for this. You're thinking, what am I doing here? I'm supposed to be doing it in Cadmus. Absolutely fine. What you would do is you will save as. We're going to put it somewhere. I'm just going to put it, doesn't really matter where it goes. I'm just going to put it into my downloads file. Okay, so this is the important part. Once you've worked out where you're going to save it, make sure that you're saving it somewhere that you can find again. What you're going to do here is you are going to save it as JPEG or PNG files, so saving them as images. JPEG tend to be smaller files. That's the one I'm going to choose. Really doesn't matter what you use. So I'm going to save that. It's going to say all of them or just one, depending on what you're doing. I'm going to just save all of the. Each slide in my presentation has been saved as a separate file in this folder. So I will go back to that folder when it is time. So then what I'm going to be doing, I need to put my speaker's notes in. I would suggest you put the heading first. I just think that looks better. You're going to insert image. So then this is what we end up with. So you're able to actually identify your images. open them, and there it sits beautifully all ready to go. You can also decide to left, center, align it. You can add a image caption. You might want to also reference here any source information if that is what needs to happen. And again, when we go to the next heading, it is as simple as just dropping these in, whichever ones you happen to be using. Should be relatively straightforward and easy. Other ways you can do this, you could use Google Slides, you could use Canva, you can use any of the Microsoft product suite. Ultimately, just once we have got an image, that's what you want to drop in. But I'm strongly recommending you write the notes first, do the images last. Now, you're not going to get any prizes for artistic efforts here, but we will look at, are you actually conveying the important points to the audience that you want to work with? And being able to use these tools is a really important thing. So thinking about the two audiences here, which is a little bit tricky. Firstly, you don't want to teach your boss to suck eggs. You can assume that they already know about the business, that they already understand the technology at a reasonable level, but you want to remind them, well, what is it that they need to tell people about the technology and the risks and what the legal requirements are, so that you can put together this compliance plan. And so basically the recommendations are effectively the kind of compliance steps and the kind of risk avoidance steps that your co-workers at the organization that you're dealing with are going to need. Okay, so just say we've got this all ready to go and it is time for us to submit. So what you get to do here is you review to submit. You can have a look here. You've got your last proofreading stage. It's going to ask you, by completing, this is your assignment, you're going to submit it as final. It's needy, like every piece of tech at the moment. It's going to ask you what you think. Fair enough. You've successfully submitted it. It's going to give you a similarity score up front. It won't do this in the test version that I'm using. But you can also keep going back to look at your assignment over and over again if you want to, and keep resubmitting. Absolutely up. It also is giving you an indication when our feedback will be ready, which is hopefully the 14th of October. So, okay, let's go back and have a look at this. So what does this actually look like for you? If you go into the grade section, you will see that it's effectively, it's all a little bit cramped here because of the way that I'm recording it. Let me just pull this out a little bit so you can see a bit more. So, we'll get there. Okay, so here is our training package. I've submitted 2 of them in this case. I think actually we were looking at the Harvard one, weren't we? So here we go. It's got the final submission there ready for you to have a look at it. Now you could have done this otherwise, but effectively what I've done is I've just downloaded what the package looks like. Now, beautifully formatted, easy for us to look at, and it's actually the PDF that you will be graded against. I can look at the other one here just to, basically I can see everything that's been done here. Now, if you are one of those people who really doesn't like change and you've got a Word file or you might have done it in PowerPoint, whatever it is you've done, if you want to give us extra documents here, we won't grade them. We won't look at them, frankly, unless we need to, because Cadmus has triggered some academic integrity issues. So, and you attach file. You can choose the file in the ordinary way and you can upload it. I'm just uploading this slide image to just see, so that you can see what that looks like, and it's saved there. Again, in this area of Canvas, you can also have a look at the rubric. You can see, double check what you've got there. As you're doing that, you might think, oh, actually, I think I could have done better here. Absolutely no problem. All you have to do is go back into the assignment. In fact, I've still got it open, but I will do it this way. Go back into the assignment, whichever one it is that you were doing. I think it was this one. Go back into Cadmus. you've successfully submitted, but you want to continue editing. And so off you go. Should be pretty straightforward to do. The other thing that I want to make sure that you're aware of inside of a Canvas shell is a couple of things. Firstly, if you need an extension, I really hope you don't, but the best and only way to apply for an extension is through the Assessment Extensions tab. I cannot guarantee that I will find assessment requests that come to me by email. If you are worried that I won't see them there, I will. Send me an email as well and tell me you've applied, particularly if you're anxious about it. But when you do it through the Assessment Extension tab, if you need to do it, you'll know that you've had the opportunity to upload all of the important documents that we need to do that. But the other thing I just want to show you is that in the modules area, we have a assignment to FAQ area that will be growing all the time. There'll be an extra page by the time you see this video, because there will be a link to this video on that page. And so this can help you. So if you've got a question about the assignment that you don't want me to know it's from you, even if you do know it, do send me a separate question if it's a good question, or if it hasn't already been answered in here some way, I will add to it. You can see there's a list of the existing questions here, but you can reply anonymously with a new question. And I will answer it there, and it will in turn help future students, because the way that we're doing this is we're collating the information so that frequently asked questions are shared. Anyway, that I think is well and truly enough. Questions, concerns, frustrations, you know where to find me. Good luck with the assignment, and I'm looking forward to seeing them. Cheers.